We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner.
Man, I'm confident in our offense. That's for sure.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. We are live after the Bears absolutely got annihilated by the Kansas City Chiefs, 41-10. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube as we hit our quest for 2,000, then 3,000, then 4,000 subscribers. And also, we continue to give away a Darnell Wright jersey. When we reach 58 five-star reviews out there on Apple Podcasts, we will announce the winner live on the show. But we are here to talk about an absolute drumming that the Bears took at Kansas City. We kind of expected some. I know, PayPal, you were a little optimistic in our pre-show, but this was terrible. They were going to be breaking this down. The Bears, 87 total passing yards, 116 rushing yards, 4.5 yards a carry, but Kansas City, 303 passing yards and 153 on the ground. PayPal, this is our third game in a row that we have not watched the game together. Normally, we always watch the game together. How are you feeling about this? Because I'm just tired. I'm just exhausted from this.
Yeah, I think I kind of left the Bears' side during, honestly, at the end of the first quarter. Actually, because I watched it with, some of our family members and stuff, and we started rooting for the Chiefs. We were like, we need an excuse to be like, hey, I basically have no hope. I think we've seen time and time again where it's like, okay, we'll get this glimmer of hope. Like it happened at the end of this game of like Justin Fields gets a touchdown and he actually had a pretty nice drive, and then our defense had 2 picks in the second half. It's like, oh, that's a glimmer of hope. We wanted none of that. We wanted the Chiefs to
exactly.
Like I was joking, like, hey, let's get that 70. We're gonna get 70 points scored on us, and just like the Dolphins did. I was joking. I was like, I actually wanted that to happen to us. Like that could have happened if Patrick Mahomes stayed out there.
I low key kind of feel you with that because the Bears have not fired a head coach midseason, and watching this team. What got me so scared and what got me so fired up, right? Because I have this on the screen. Air out your grievances out there on YouTube, how you feel about this. Because to me, this is an entire collapse. This reminds me when a team just does not want to play for a coach. Because you had wide receivers dropping passes. It's not all on Justin Fields. Wide receivers weren't getting open. Wide receivers weren't catching balls. But also Justin Fields wasn't finding people like Cole Kmet open in the end zone. So there was a handful of things. The entire thing is a train wreck. And when the entire thing is a train wreck, you got to look at coaching. And will they get rid of them? No, they're probably like, hey, look, McCaskies are probably looking going, hey, we outscored them 10-7 in the second half. Yep. What they didn't see is that it was the backups. And I'm like telling my wife, because she went out to get some groceries and she came back and she's like, sorry about this, Brad. Sorry that you have to go up with it. And my 5-year-old daughter comes up to the screen and goes, Dad, why are we rooting for the Bears when they have 0 points? I'm like, because we're Bears fans. And then she goes, I'm going to root for the red team. They have more points and they're winning. And I'm like, this is what it is. This is what we are doing. Yep. Also, we at least have T-Dub out there in the comments saying, hire an interim coaching staff tomorrow morning. Yep. Like, for real.
Clean house. Clean house. Like starting tomorrow.
Getsy calls a quarterback run when we're down 41-0. Yes. That's exact. He starts calling all of them when we're losing. When there's, like, no hope left, he starts calling the quarterback runs. Right?
Well, honestly, I think the conspiracy theory of that is, maybe Getsy is not happy with how Justin Fields was running the offense. So maybe he was trying to get Justin Fields to get injured and then get Tyson Bagent out there or Bagent. So that's my conspiracy theory with that one.
I will say this, though. I think what's going on right now is Getsy's probably not happy with Fields and Fields isn't happy with Getsy. And it seemed also like DJ Moore, I feel so bad for the guy. He is so talented, and he's just sitting there gloomy. He's got his head down. This to me is coaching because we talked about it with Eberflus. He is this youth pastor type of a guy, this type of personality where he's like, let's all hold hands and sing Kumbaya. But when it's not happening and we have like the fiercest defense that is always out there. Really, we gave up over 300 yards. Yes, the Chiefs, but we gave up over 41 freaking points. 30 points a half. It was a terrible game, and that brings the big question. Will the Bears actually fire Flus? People watching out there on YouTube, let us know, because the Bears do not fire head coaches midseason, right? I feel also, if you're a fan that does not want to fire Matt Eberflus, please let us know why, because I'm actually sincerely curious the reasons why.
Yeah.
Will Matt Eberflus be fired during this season, PayPal?
Yeah, I usually am on the side of not wanting to do that. Kind of when we were kind of going this with the Kansas City offensive coordinator right now.
Yeah. Who put up like 0 points against the Bills now.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
like, oh man.
Yeah, exactly. And I am kind of just like, all right, we don't need. I don't see the point usually of doing it, but like right now, like you're kind of speaking on it of everything looks wrong on this team. So I just think that just points to coaching. It's like the defense just looks discombobulated. Like I think everyone's doing what they're told to be doing, and then it's just not working because it's like the game plan is wrong. Like I see like our defense, they're playing what they're supposed to be doing. Like you don't see missed assignments. You don't see people not where they're supposed to be. They're doing the Eberflus defense and it's just not working because it just is an outdated system. You have to just start showing different things. It's not working for this defense and our defensive line. So I honestly think it'd be cool to honestly fire Flus. I think the question then for me is like, who would be the interim head coach to come in? I'm thinking the special teams coach because he's one guy right now. I love his energy every time he steps the mic. I think he'd be a fun guy that everyone respects. Right now it's like Luke Getsy. I don't know how the team is with him and this offense being absolutely terrible.
Yeah. I think if I'm the Bears, if I am Ryan Poles or Kevin Warren, I'm talking to Eberflus and saying, what happened? Tell me what happened. No BS. Tell me what really happened. Because who's at fault? Because it is a coaching issue. You see a lot of it. It is coaching. Yes, some of the players, there's problems with the players. But when you see everybody not really trying, and we haven't talked about Roschon Johnson yet, Roschon Johnson, he wants to be there. He wants to play. He's playing his heart out at 4.8 yards a carry, trucking people. That's what type of players you want to get out of this. And when people are giving up and losing hope, that's that losing mentality that they have. Who is Matt Eberflus going to say is the problem with this? Because if you're talking to Ryan Poles and you just flat out say, our people suck, right? That's you being honest to him. But if you say, well, hey, we're still coming together. I heard his interview after the game that he had with ESPN 1000. It actually really ticked me off because he was saying stuff like, well, see, this unit has only had 3 games together.
Yeah, it's
really.
Like,
same with everybody else. You're just making excuses. And also, I was talking to some people. They're like, I heard people make excuses saying, well, they added new people. Same with everybody else.
Every team does that all the time. Exactly.
You have to figure it out. You have to do it. And honestly, with Matt Eberflus, you talk with them, you figure it out, and you need to try something different because it seems like the offense, things are bad. You don't want to completely ruin Justin Fields. Try everything you can with Justin Fields to show and prove that he is not the guy in Chicago. So if you kick him out to the side of the curb, that he doesn't all of a sudden become a Hall of Famer. You need to make 100% sure that nobody can do it. Check out Janoko. Can he do anything with him? You have to look at it. It's just so much, PayPal, but also, let's see.
Yeah, I think with Flus, it's I think we're both on the side of firing him because like I think of the discussion we had last week of like is it coaching? Is it Justin Fields? I think there still are those times when you're just like Fields, what the heck are you doing? Like, why are you like when it was that DJ Moore pass? Was it was it DJ Moore where he threw it down like the center? There was like Cole Kmet, he went out to the left and he was wide open. Cole Kmet was like super open, but I think the play call is throw it to the seam, like throw it deep. Oh no, it's to Claypool. And Claypool was so wide open initially. And it's like, just throw it now. Just throw it now. And it's like he waited like a couple seconds. The defensive back caught up to Chase Claypool, and then he underthrew it to Claypool. So like there's those flashes where you're like, oh yeah, Justin Fields is awesome. Like it has that talent, But I
Right.
honestly like there's during half the season, like I honestly want to see Badgen out there, or Bajan.
Yeah.
Like I want to see him out there just to be like, hey, it's not Fields' fault, or see something different because there needs to be something that rattles this team. And I think switching the quarterback would honestly be a good thing to do at this
That's
point.
why I think you have to talk to Flus, right? If he's like, well, Justin Fields this, Justin Fields that, and Justin Fields this, I'd be like, then put in the rookie, put in
Yeah.
Peterman, put in these people, and prove this wrong. Because that's what, like, we've been talking about this with the blame game and everything about it. Everybody is at fault to some extent on this. And right now, everyone is drained. Everyone is like, we stink. And also, I posted this out on the YouTube thumbnail. It's probably going to be the title for this, the episode when people listen to it on the podcast. This is a historically bad team. And I tweeted this out at Unbearable Sport on Twitter or X or whatever the heck they're going to call it. There have been, in the past decade, 6 teams have lost their first 3 games of the season by double digits.
Yeah.
The average wins for those 5 teams, 3.4 average wins. So if anybody out there is like, well, it was the Chiefs, we were supposed to lose by 2 touchdowns. That's what the line was set at. We were supposed to be absolutely annihilated by this. But the teams that did that, the Jags in 2021, 3-14. In 2020, Jets 2-14. 2019, the best team, Dolphins 5-11. Then the 2014 Jags with 3 wins, and the 2013 Jags with 4 wins. So
Ridiculous.
What this is looking at, when you lose this badly and consistently lose this badly, it's not very hopeful. But I will say this, PayPal, Bears have the number 1 pick in the draft right now, and the number 4 pick in the draft right now. Carolina loses, and also the Bears lost. And then what? It's the other teams are the Vikings are 0-3. They should win. And then I know that the Bengals are 0-2, so they should win. They are a lot better than that. And then I'm forgetting the last 0-3 team.
Yeah, I don't know.
can look it up.
Yeah, because a lot of those bad teams actually won. Is it the Giants, maybe?
Denver.
No, the Giants
Denver.
did win. Yeah, Denver.
Denver. Yep.
Yeah. Who? Hey, at least we didn't give up 70 points, Fred. That's what you always got to think about that.
Yeah, there's
You
always
got
that.
to. There's always Denver. There's always a worse team out there.
And we have 2 first-round picks, right? So we at least have that. So let's actually talk a little bit more about the offense specifically. Like we said, 87 yards of total passing offense, 116 on the ground. I actually just want to start on the ground. Justin Fields did have 11 carries, and as was pointed out before, we did end up running mostly with Justin Fields after the damage has been done. But Khalil Herbert, 7 carries for 31 yards, 4.4 yards a carry. Roschon Johnson, 8 carries, 38 yards, 4.8 yards a carry. I'm sold on Roschon Johnson. With his pass blocking, with his running ability. To me, if you want to look at the bright side, Roschon Johnson really looks like a dude that can do it all for you in the future. So if you need to overhaul this team, he's going to be the guy, and someone who made like a one-handed grab too that was thrown out to him. So there's that, but it's when you see these running stats, that's where if you have a good defense, you can do that whole ground and pound, take the time away, time of
Exactly.
possession and all that. But the Bear, like kind of what the Atlanta Falcons do. But we just haven't been able to do that because the defense just is non-existent. But what were some of your takes with this
I
offense?
think with Justin, like I think I learned this game that Justin Fields, honestly, he needs to run, I think, to kind of get his juices flowing, so to
Yeah.
speak. Like, I think that's something that gets him focused. Like, it's weird, but I think that's what we honestly need to like open up him running the ball, like kind of get him that gets him like engaged to the game, to be honest. Because right after he started doing those, running plays like near the fourth quarter, it was like, hey, he's actually throwing quick passes. He's trusting his receivers, and you're like, hey, like, why did you not do this for the rest of the game? Where you're literally
Yeah.
looking at receivers and not throwing the ball ever. You're just so hesitant, and you're just holding onto the ball and just getting so frustrated with it. But yeah, it's like this offense. I think it's hard because for me, our receivers, I don't think most of those guys are the problem. It's hard to see like DJ Moore. I really saw this game. He
I think
seemed like
today
he just went out. Like you could see he was not trying. When he made that one-handed
Yeah.
grab, he was not trying at all. Like he ran that route. He just kind of jogged and he was like, this is so stupid,
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Is it did feel like they completely gave up towards the end. Darnell was like, "This is dumb," and
Yeah.
I think too the thing I'm scared about, and I want to know from the wide receivers, they watch the tape all the time. They know when they're open. What do they think about Justin Fields? Because do they think of top 100 quarterback Justin Fields, or do they say, "Listen, I run stupid routes. We run a triple curl, and why are we doing this?" Right?
Yeah.
We keep running screens. I want to know what they think in order to figure out what to do. There was one other point that I wanted to make too, because I saw Nate Davis pop up. Nate Davis, this is just my hunch, because I've heard some people say that he hasn't looked fully in shape or he had to be taken out a couple times. I think because he was active today, and it's that personal reason. What I'm curious about is I've unfortunately had friends and family that have had a big family emergency where somebody falls ill and they have to spend as much time as they can with that sick loved one. One thing I'm curious about is Nate Davis not in football playing shape right now because he hasn't been able to participate. He hasn't been there mentally. He's had to physically be with his loved one. So that's where I'm kind of thinking that might have been why we didn't see him out there, but we did see Ja'Tyre Carter out there, which yet again is a solid backup, but he shouldn't be your starting guard. He's Alex Bars. We still say that. He's Alex Bars, to put it into Bears terms. So
this offense, it's just like, this is kind of overall speaking out if I watched the Packers game. I was so happy this morning. I was watching the Packers game. They were down 17-0. I'm like, this is going to be a great weekend. Like, Bears are going to come in Arrowhead, like absolutely dominate.
Right.
And then you see something that I just hate with this Bears team. And honestly, I kind of would see with other Bears teams, like, is they don't get frustrated. Like it seems like when things are going bad, well, they do get frustrated, but they hold it like internally. Like I feel like that's a big source of being like, hey, this team is not won. Like I watch the Packers, and I think we all have to admit, like the Packers are definitely better than Bears this year, and they actually have good coaching.
Yeah.
When they were losing, you could the team was like all talking to one another, really frustrated, yelling at each other, trying to figure out how to fix this and be like, this is not us. We got to win. The Bears, on the other hand, you don't see any of that. You just see pouting faces. You see just everyone looks lost. And it's like that's at the coaching. And that's what I saw with the offense, especially with those receivers pouting and just giving up.
This is par for the course. You're losing and this is it. But I want to call out that, like, I agree with Diaz out here saying, I did not mind how Larry
Yeah,
Borum and
right?
Darnell Wright played. For like, we only allowed 3 sacks, and yeah, when you have Chris Jones on the outside and you're a rookie, and that might have been his first rep against Chris Jones, the speed, the quickness, the power is something that he has not seen. We are talking about arguably the best defensive tackle in the game. And yet, I thought that they played a good game, which is a bright
Right.
spot because Larry Borum, we've said it, the Bears seem to not like him, where now you kind of question the Bears coaching staff because he played phenomenally in the preseason and played well to fill in for Braxton Jones. So I think overall, the offensive line wasn't horrific. It's just, this reminds me of the end of Matt Nagy, the end of a coaching staff, where the end of John Fox, where everything that they did, you just go, it's just not working. It's just nothing is working. You have to overhaul everything. And really, you're so early on into this year. The logical thing is to promote within, like we mentioned, but do you even bring someone else in just to kind of like finish out the defense or finish out the offensive side of the ball or something like that? Because right now, nothing is working. But yeah, they reminded us next week we are going against Denver. And to be honest with you, is it bad if I hope that we lose so that we continue to get the first round pick?
Let's hope for the tank.
Yeah.
We're rooting for the tank, Brad. I am rooting for the tank also because if our coach, if Foose doesn't get cut, I just want more reasons to be like, hey, you do suck. Like, I don't want more of this hope of like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
Fields might be something, or we might have something here. I don't want any of that anymore,
Yeah, we've suffered enough. We have suffered enough as Bears fans.
Yeah.
So we have Broncos, then the Commanders, then the Vikings, and I think the Vikings are going against another bad team. Let me just quickly pull that up. Yeah, they're going against the Panthers. So if the Panthers can lose to the Vikings, that helps the Bears like absolute crazy. So
yeah,
also, yeah, I forgot. Jenkins will be back eventually, so that will be nice to be able to at least bolster this offensive line and see what it can do. But yeah, there is just you can't blame one thing, except I think for me, coaching's at the top of the list. The leadership is at the top, and it just seems like things are starting to fail and starting to fall. I think also too, it's the Nick Foles effect. I remember it with Matt Nagy, where it seems like when Nick Foles was kind of like calling out the BS that Matt Nagy was doing, the entire locker room was like, yeah, he does suck at doing that. He does, like, having a veteran be like, I've won Super Bowl before. And you saw Nick Foles kind of talking smack about Nagy on the sidelines. I felt like I saw that with DJ Moore, where DJ Moore's coming in going, what the heck is going on? And whether that's about Flus or Getsy or Fields is up for consideration, but things just aren't good. And speaking of not good, let's go over to our next poop topic, as you can see on YouTube. So for those listening, I had to liven it up, so I just put the poop emoji on it because things just suck.
You gotta love the poop emoji.
Yeah.
It always makes bad situations a little bit more fun.
Speaking of making bad situations fun, Don Burr, everybody's favorite Lions fan.
Yeah,
Detroit versus
welcome
everybody. Hey, I hope you beat us both this year, unless something crazy ends up happening. But let's go over to this defensive side of the ball, where, like we mentioned before, we gave up a lot of yards. The blind optimist would say, hey, we allowed 4.1 rushing yards to Isaiah Pacheco and 3.7 to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But people that watch the game would say they could run on us anytime they wanted to and really do whatever. And I got to give you credit, a point that you made before, it just seemed like when we play, everybody just sits back. And we talked about the cover 2 being good for deep passes. They could still throw it deep on us, and it felt like they would just dink and dunk because they're like, we don't need to do anything. I'm Patrick freaking Mahomes. I'm just going to dink and dunk it, and I'm going to make sure that Taylor Swift is all pumped up about her boy Travis Kelce. So it wasn't a pretty sighting, as we all know. But
and that's where it's not the players. I was talking with our dad and stuff of like, it's like I think I like a lot of these players that we signed, and it's just they're executing what the coach is doing or telling them to do, and it's just not working out. And one guy I'm still kind of up in the air with, because honestly, it was good seeing TJ Edwards with 17 tackles. Like he seems like a guy that's really going everywhere,
Yeah.
making plays.
Yeah.
Tremaine Edmonds, Brad, like maybe he's just this one play. Like he has that upside. I guess I'm just so disappointed. Like I haven't seen that big play yet from him. And there was that play where what I want to say they're probably 5-10 yards away from the end zone, the Chiefs from scoring, and they
Yeah.
throw it over Tremaine Edmonds to Travis Kelce.
Yep.
And
I saw that too.
Isn't Tremaine Edmonds, isn't he supposed to be the guy that has freakishly long arms, freakish vertical,
So
freakish
tall,
just,
no one can throw it over him.
no one can throw it over him.
Yeah.
Yeah, right over him. And it wasn't like a high. I rewatched it. I'm like, it was not a high pass. He could have easily caught it.
It's right there. Yeah.
And that's where it's, you can kind of blame him, and I'm kind of disappointed in him, but I still think maybe it's just the coaching. Just everyone's given up, and hopefully someone just brings up something. Yeah, like that Nick Foles, like, hey, he sucks. Who sucks? What are we doing here?
Well, I think that's the hard part. And I think when you look at this team on paper, that's where, to me, the coaching staff just isn't getting the most out of it. Now, we can say it's the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have a good offense. But overall, they could just dink and dime it down the field. Patrick Mahomes was 24 of 33, which isn't an amazing stat to have, but 272 yards, and he could do whatever he could out there on the field. And yeah, we're not generating great pressure. Billings continues to play well, which is great to see, but he's a one-year journeyman, so probably out the door. Yannick Ngakoue is still a good player, but Dominique Robinson, why is he out there on passing downs? He really seemed to have no pass rush moves, nothing that he could offer from a pass rush perspective. And Diaz, I agree with him, where like Sewell, I was at least happy we could see Sewell out there.
Agree.
I was happy we saw Jack Sanborn, who had a good interception. I liked seeing those other linebackers out there. And this kind of goes to the whole point of when you invest heavy in linebacker, we have good linebackers. We have a good secondary, banged up secondary, I might add. But when you have these players, you need a good defensive line. And I think it's a solid, I don't think it's a good defensive line. It's like a below average defensive line, but it just seems everybody is just not playing up to standards. It just seems anytime they run the ball, everyone's out of position. No one seems to be there. And it's just frustrating. And I also want to just point out one other thing too. I was listening to another podcast, and they were a national podcast, and they were talking about the middle of the field, where more and more and more people are exploiting the middle of the field because they're realizing it's kind of like a cheat code. Because on the sidelines, you have a defender. In the middle of the field, it's the quickest way you can get it to your receivers, and it's harder to be like covering in the middle of the field. Ask the Bears defense. We can't do it. Everywhere there, it's always open. But that's something too with our offense. I can't remember many throws that were made right in the middle of the opposing defense this entire year. And I'm actually waiting for NFL Next Gen Stats to publish out the graphic so I can share it to see what it was. It did not seem like we threw it over the middle, but it seemed like they were taking advantage of the middle of the defense this entire time.
Yeah,
so,
and it's and I guess for our offense perspective, we don't have a quarterback that's like, he's not 5'10" or something. He's not a short quarterback. Like he can see over the line. I feel like, Russell Wilson is always that quarterback people bring up. He's still like 6 feet tall. And he doesn't throw it in the middle of the field because he's just kind of short and he can't see over the line. But Justin Fields can do that. So yeah, we got to do that. And honestly, we should be like, hey, throw it in the middle of the field. We got these linebackers, but obviously they're not playing to their standard.
They're not playing to their standards, and that's where I think the coaching staff, you need to overhaul that. You need to get everything changed. And yeah, it's sad. I'm just keep on clicking refresh. I want to see it, but I will say in between the middle of the field, I'm seeing 4 total passes this entire season, not including today's game. So in the little the QB box, we're getting 4 passes that Justin Fields has thrown in between those. Not good, since everything else is on the outside. But yet again, how many screens can we call in the middle of the field, right? You can't call a screen in the middle of the field. So that's
there was
why.
there was no screens this game. Maybe that's why we didn't score points.
Yeah, how dare us as a fan base say stop calling screens all the time.
Yeah, what the
right?
heck?
Stop calling the same play over and over and over and over again. So things weren't good. Let's just wrap this up. And I know that we have a lot more people watching than we did at the very beginning of things. So big question. Final thoughts. Thoughts of this game. Close the book, burn the tape. The sad part is we also paid for NFL Plus Premium, so we can rewatch these games as much as we want.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, so there's that. But air your grievances. What is your final take, Mr. PayPal, on this Bears team after we lost yet again?
Yeah, it's, we're the Bears, and we need it. We need a coach. We need a new coach. Like, I don't know. Like, my thoughts are kind of, what do we do from here now? Like, first things first, I'm watching college football. Like, I'm watching college football first off because there's some teams, Wisconsin, team we like here, like they're playing pretty well. But also just to look at potential picks for next year, we'll see if we can get Caleb Williams. Like, with how this team is going and what you shared with the stats of, we're going to basically be a 3-win team this year. We have to be looking for the draft. And so I'll be watching college football and honestly wait till Flus gets fired, because I think I just can't handle it anymore. Like, this game was my first Chicago Bears game I can ever think of. Like, I really didn't like, I'm always fully invested, and I was kind of like, man, it's even hard for me to watch this game. Like, I was saying, I was rooting for the Chiefs. I was like, please just get 100 points on us so we can fire this coach and get on to something new. Because it was that bad of like, we can't do anything on this team. Like, and I think all the players on our team felt that, like, we can't compete with these guys because we're just not coached right. Our game plan is not meant for this to face the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was brutal. I'm seeing some grievances out here. Bears Junkie saying everybody needs to go. Poles can't draft, Flus can't coach, and the ownership has no clue and hasn't been able to find a clue for about 35 years now, which is sadly correct. And Diaz is asking,
we've at least had glimpses, we've at least had those eras of at least, like Briggs and Urlacher. And then, like, even I gotta say it, like 2018 Bears, like, that was a team of like, hey, like,
it was awesome.
It was a fun run. And like, I know I'm kind of a crazy Bears fan for saying this, but it's like, we lost against the Super Bowl champs, like, and we were we were one field goal like away. Still, it would have been hard to win, but we've had other teams where we've seen kind of glimpses of at least them getting better. We have not seen this team getting better. We've actually seen them get worse, and that's what really is concerning.
The frustrating part about the 2018 Bears too is that was our best season that we can cling on to for the past decade.
Yeah.
And that was when Matt LaFleur was hired as the Packers head coach. He had better records his first 3 seasons. Like, we need the culture of winning, and it's just hard to get that. And it's hard to do it. What I would do is I would get rid of Flus and be like, this is just flat out unacceptable. And whoever has the hope to be a head coach, and you address every player and be like, that's unacceptable. This team has to be better. And we expect better. And if you don't want to be here, you're not going to be here. And it's just as simple as that. And
accountability. I think that's the thing. Accountability.
And if it flops, then you have the number 1 pick. You can trade it. You can do what you will with it. But what does scare me is I remember when we drafted Justin Fields, and I said, it doesn't work. The Bears are cursed. So later is that we are cursed. And
we're cursed.
Seriously, Something has to happen. You have to have some form of accountability with this team. And we said it after the first week loss. We said it after the second week loss. So it's evident that there is no accountability with this team. It needs to be better. This team needs to play better as a unit, as everything. So what do the Bears need to do? They need to do something different.
Yeah, it's bad when our mom is like, she really doesn't watch the game too much, but it's bad when she's commenting on the game and being like, what, she just comes in there, it's like, they need to just play with effort. Like, even she can see it, and she doesn't watch football, and she's like, what, this team looks terrible,
It's like, yep, we are. So
We are.
yeah, it's just going to be a giant train wreck. And hey, buckle up. We'll be talking about this. And also, I got to say, Brock Bowers, the tight end out of Georgia, also looks pretty good if one of those picks goes a little bit later, like 5 or so. So, yeah, I'm going to start grinding some college tape. The draft season starts now. We are on the clock, Chicago. But with that, make sure to like and subscribe in all seriousness out there on YouTube. Also, we continue to give away a Darnell Wright jersey. Just rate the show 5 stars out on Apple Podcasts. Just link down in the description. At least you can have this, and at least Darnell Wright has looked good. But ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. Hope you have a great work week, better than the Bears. Don't let that ruin your week. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.